Hi, this is Bryan and Nicolette, and I'm here with Nicolette Amino, and we're from Cat Media. And today we're going to talk to you a little bit about storytelling. But it's not so much about storytelling, it's really about the journey. And one of the things is what you have to realize is not all users start with the same expertise. Not all users are on the same path, and not all users start, they're searching for your content for the same reason. So one of the things you always have to think about, the most important thing is the intent of the user and why did they start the journey. So today we're showing you a model that we've created, and it is literally a journey up a mountain, how you start with knowledge and how you look at getting a user from a general knowledge to a conversion.
So, Brian, I think we should talk a little bit about what really inspired the mountain because, we've been dealing with clients who are, creating content and, they think they're doing all the right things. They're trying to do all the right things, but it's not really, things are kind of disconnected and their content is disconnected or they're telling fake stories. They're giving regurgitation of facts or specs, and that's not really leading the user to the desired outcome, which is ultimately some sort of conversion, right? Whatever that might be.
And we see this a lot, to your point, where companies are creating, say, information that's general knowledge, and they're expecting a user to go straight from that general knowledge or that piece of content to a conversion. But it doesn't really work that way. We know users need many more touch points and a lot more information, usually before they become a conversion, to Nicolette's point, to anything, whether it's a subscription or to purchase a product. They need a lot more information than coming in from the general knowledge, even if that's where they started. So you'll see users sometimes start at that general knowledge point, and then there are other users that will start at a solution point because they have a better idea of what they're actually looking for, or even at the product information point because they know what they want to purchase. So how do you tell the story from there? And as you see, Nicolette is bringing up the basic information. Nicolette, did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So what we did was when we came up with the mountain, we kind of looked at what are all of the key types of articles that a company should be creating and then weaving stories into to lead to that final conversion. And the first is the general knowledge content. So depending on what kind of company you are, this is either going to be super important or stuff that you just need to have on the site for SEO purposes or just to kind of provide some background information. So this is really going to be the beginner level articles. What is this? How does this work? Where did this happen? This is going to be your general information. And these are going to lead to the next type of article through storytelling.
And now, before Nicolette brings that up, most of the users, or maybe not the conversions, but most of the users looking at the type of content you're creating are going to be at this bottom level. So a lot of times you're attracting the users that are going to purchase from you here, but that's going to be the bulk of the users that you're actually attracting onto your site, or that you're attempting to convert.
Now, as you move up the mountain, here we're going to start talking to users who understand the basics, whether they came in at that point and they already understood the basics, the general stuff, or you led them up the mountain from that general point. And here we're going to talk to users about the fundamentals. So you go a little bit deeper here, and we assume they've got that basic understanding. Now we need to really engage them with the next thing they really care about around a given topic. So these are your fundamentals articles, which leads to the next point. And these are your challenges. So now, if you're telling the story correctly, you're setting the user up in the fundamentals articles, there's some questions raised. And so you're going to hit some challenge articles. So you're going to talk about what is your target audience really going through? What are their pain points? What do they experience on a daily basis? We want to set them up here to understand that there are some solutions available, but we don't really want to get into them. And we certainly don't want to just say, hey, buy my product because this is a solution to this challenge. Not at this point, right? So we're just kind of giving them something to identify with and let them know that we understand their struggle and what's going on, whether it be in the industry or to them personally.
Exactly. And really what's happening here is, as the user's going through their journey, they need to know what to expect, what they need to look out for. And that's really what you're presenting here.
And if you do that correctly, you're going to lead to some content around some high level solutions. So let's say we're talking about, I don't know, let's just say we're talking about the Internet of Things for a second, because that's at the top of my mind. And we've now presented that there are some issues with the Internet of Things. Maybe those are some security issues. And so now what types of solutions are out there in terms of protecting your data, or maybe at the consumer level, protecting your connected devices? Are there solutions out there? Yes, there are. And here you can start presenting them at a very high level and what the industry is doing. Some, not to get into specifics. So we don't promote the solution. We just talk about the vast array of options that are out there. And you'll logically lead them to the next point. And I just want to point out here that this is not, when we say lead them, we don't mean let's include a whole bunch of hyperlinks at the bottom that are going to take them to the next article. That's not what we mean by leading them down the path. It's really raising questions through the story that are going to make them say, I really need to learn more about that.
Right. And if you think about it using the context of, this journey up a mountain, it's sort of like trail markers. It's sort of like, here's some things you need to know in order to get to the next place. And now there are also many places, along these markers that we're showing you, those dotted lines, where sometimes there's other type of content injected based on, your company and your individual needs.
Yeah, absolutely. So there could be stuff that doesn't quite fit, like Brian's point, that doesn't quite fit. This is a high level solution, but it's related and it falls somewhere maybe in between the high level solutions and the deeper solutions. So maybe there's a news item that's related, and it's kind of a little bit more in depth and it talks about a solution, but it's very newsy and timely, and it's not general educational material. That would fall under here in between these 2 points. So as you lead them down, now you're in deeper solutions. Lead them up. Now you're in deeper solutions, and now you're talking more technical. And so now we can look, and it doesn't have to be technical in the sense of technical, as I was referring to the IoT. It could be technical to your business. So how are people specifically solving these challenges? Not you, not your company, but in general, what solutions are out there? Educate the user here about the different solutions that are out there. Set the user up now to say, oh, is that a specific product that I can use? And that will logically lead them to the next point on the mountain. Finally, now we get to talk about, here you go. Now you get to talk about your specific solution. And this is where you get to say all that great stuff about what your business does and how your company helps and how your product solves this problem, and, talk about the benefits. And now, now you're getting the user intrigued. Now you want them to say, oh, wow, this product solves my problem. And I've been led up to this point, and now I found something that can help me in whatever mission I'm on.
Right. And what happens is, even if it's not necessarily as a product, even if it's a service, if you're offering a service, it's the same thing. They have to understand what the problems are, why they need your solution, once they're on that journey. Because if you don't lead them up to the point of why that solution is valuable and you're just presenting the product or the solution, it's going to have really no meaning into why it's even valuable to them or why they should use it.
Yep. And so from that point, and here you might actually include some sort of a link to your product page. Now, this is the place where you can do something like that, because now you're connecting your product to an article. And so now you can lead them to learn, maybe it's a buy now, maybe it's a download, maybe it's a register for my webinar, maybe it's whatever, maybe a free consultation. You're leading them to that action, and you're getting them to the place where they can learn more about that action that you want them to take.
And this works whether you're selling the product on your site yourself, or if you're selling, through a third party site. You could still lead them, through the information on your site into a third party vendor who sells the products.
Yeah. Yep. Now they're there. They checked out, how much is this going to cost me? What time is this event occurring? All this stuff, all the details they've gotten there. And now they have made it up to to the highest point of the mountain, which is exactly where you wanted them to get. And so now they are completing that process.
Mhm. And I think Nicolette brought this up earlier, that could be any type of conversion, not just the sale of a product or a service, but it could be a subscription to a newsletter, or registration on your site, or a download that you may be offering. So that whatever your conversion is, that's really the goal that you would be getting to.
And so I want to point out one other thing. It's not just about one article that solves all of these, that really applies to all of these points on the mountain. So it could be 10 types of articles that, talk about fundamentals around a specific topic, depending on how many facets there are to whatever it is that you do. It could be, if you're a small business and you have a limited budget and you need to lead people down up this path, with fewer articles, then start there, but lead them. It's not all about, what we see is a lot of people just create like the product solutions articles. That's really what we see a lot of, and they think that that's the solution to selling a product, and then wonder why nobody's buying it.
And I think one of the other things to always keep in mind is what we started off with. Not all users are at the same place. So, if we use the context of the mountains, maybe someone was coming off another mountain onto this mountain. So they're coming with a bit of expertise. They're at that high level solution part already. And now they're coming in based on, say, their search, or looking for information where they're actually at a different place. So sometimes, depending on who your user is and what users are doing, and understanding who you are as a company and where you rank online, is where you'll understand to know where to create the bulk of your content, or what type of content you create. Back to Nicolette's point, you don't necessarily need to create all these pieces of content.
So that's it. That's the mountain. And if you want to learn more about tiered content, which is what we're rolling out here for 2020, send us an email, give us a call, check out our website, insomnicat.com.